Hello guys, this is Elias with the WPL import team, and in this video we're gonna export metabox custom fields to an Excel file using WP All Export. Now guys, in today's video we have created a post type called restaurants, and I have it right here. We have 1200, and in this post type we have a bunch of different fields. We have a couple of simple text fields, a couple of time fields too. This one is a date picker. We have radios, we have checkboxes, select text, radios again. We have an image advanced field, and here we have a cloneable group with 3 subfields inside of it. Right now, this is what we have today for our video. So let's start by selecting the post type we want to export, which in this case is restaurants. All right. And now WPL export is detecting 1200 restaurants, so this is looking good. Now guys, let's say for a minute that maybe you don't want to export all 1200 restaurants, right? Maybe you only want to export the best of the best. So let's say that those restaurants are those whose rating is 5 or maybe 4 and 5 out of 5 stars, right? So we have here in the details tab, we have the rating, and we can assume that the 1 and 2 star restaurants are kind of crappy, right? And the 3 stars ones are, I don't know, average. But these 4 and 5 stars one, we can assume they're pretty good, right? So let's export those by using these filtering options, right? So let's find that rating element, and you can just type in here rating, and you will find that here. And for the rule, I'm going to say equal or greater than. And the value I'm going to use is 4. So when I add this rule, you can see that this number changes. And the reason for that is because these 606 restaurants are those restaurants that have a rating of 4 or higher. Now, let's roll with this. Let's just click on this Customize Export File button. All right. And now here in our export template, you can see this little box here and these 3 elements. Now you can think of these elements like your Excel columns. So if I preview, you will see this more clearly, right? So we have our ID column, the title column, and the content column, right? So if I get rid of this ID element, because I don't know, maybe we don't need that, right? And I preview again, you can see that it's gone. And since we came here looking for how to export metabox fields to an Excel file, how about we find those metabox fields to export, right? So they are right here under this metabox section. So what we need to do here is just click on them and drag and drop them inside the box. So once that's done, you can hit preview and see the data coming into shape as you build your template, right? So let's keep dragging some stuff here. These ones are just simple text, so they don't have anything too special, right? They're just text, and you can see here this 19th hole. I have that open right here, so you can see that we have the same info, right? This is the same address, the same street, and here you go, right? Now, here these opening and closing times, as you can see here, they are time pickers, right? So this is a little bit different in WPL export, because when you drag and drop these kind of fields, right, and preview, those values are returned as just text, right? But when you click on them, you can see some other options. You can change the column name and all of these other default settings, right? But you can see this date format field here that will allow you to change this time format to whatever you want, as long as it's supported by PHP, right? So for this time format, I'm going to say maybe G and A. Let's roll with that. So let's hit preview, and here is our opening time, right? So you can see it's pretty different than this one, right? Although they both are the same fields, right? Because they both are time fields. The format is totally different. So now let's change the other one, closing time. Let's say G and A2, and hit preview again, and there you go. Now we have the same format for both fields. Now we have this date field too, and we can change this date format. Now I want to do something a little bit more readable, right? So a little bit more friendly, let's say. So let's open that field. So you can see here that we can set this up in Unix timestamp or natural language PHP. So I'm going to use this option and I'm going to say D, comma, F, J, and Y. Let's save this, preview, and there you have it, guys. We have changed our date format to something a little bit more interesting, right? Now let's keep adding some stuff here. The last one we used was this open scenes, so next one is rating, right? So let's add the cuisine, dress code, executive chef, phone number, website, right? Price range, average price, gallery, and finally the reviews field. Now let's go over them real quick. So this rating one is very simple because this is just a radio field. So you can see that here, right? This is a rating and this has a value and it has a label, right? So this is the label, what you can see here, but inside of this, there is a value and the values are 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1, right? So this is what we're gonna get here, right? You can change that using some functions, so you can click on it and write your own PHP function here to return the metabox label instead of the value, and then you enable this option and you will just run your function like that, right? We have other videos where you can learn a lot more about that, or maybe we could use some other element. For example, we could use this gallery, which maybe we can set up here at the beginning of the file instead of at the end of it, right? So let's hit preview and zoom in real quick. So you can see we have here this URL, right? This one. And this is a second URL for a second image. And all of these URLs are being separated with pipes. So if you wanted to maybe change that, well, we could use a quick PHP function. So let's do that real quick and say here function, right? And this function is going to be called change pipes, right? And now I'm gonna create my data here and I'm gonna return str replace. Now inside this str replace, I'm gonna look for my pipes, right? And I'm gonna change that, say for a comma and a space actually, so it looks a little bit more, I don't know, orderly or something, right? So we're going to run this on this data element, right? Close this up, save our function, right? Very important, guys. Now let's copy its name, enable this option, paste the name of our function here. And the way this works, it's basically, this is the function that's being called, right? Same as here. So you can see here, this here is the name, same as here. And this is the data, and that data is this value. Now this value is this field. So we're gonna run this function, which is this one, on this field, right? So let's see how this looks. Hitting preview. And there you go, guys. We have changed all of our pipes with commas. Now you can change anything here using PHP functions, and it's pretty cool if you know a little bit of PHP. And if you don't, and maybe you feel like the issue you have is pretty obvious and maybe you can't be the only person having this problem, right? And maybe you don't see any obvious function or feature inside WPL export to handle the issue you're having. Maybe what you need is a quick PHP function. So we have a bunch of examples here on our website. Just go to wplimport.com, click on the docs menu, and scroll down to the bottom on this left panel where you will find the developer section. And here we have a bunch of code snippets. Now we have code snippets for imports, and down here we have some other for exports, and to do all sort of crazy stuff in different scenarios that you may want to take a look. Because say you want to, I don't know, send your exported file via email, right? So you find that here, click on it, and it will take you to the snippet where you can find that feature, right? This workaround. Now, this is a great way to learn, guys. So if that's something that interests you, you can start there. And you can also contact our support team. And while we can't really write or modify custom code for you, we can always point you in the right direction. And you can maybe leverage on ChatGPT to do all the heavy lifting, or I don't know, guys. Just know that if you have some really crazy stuff you need to do here with your data, and you don't find any way to do it with the options inside WPL export, chances are that you will be able to do that using PHP. Now, guys, I believe we have covered quite a bit here on this video. So let's wrap this up. And the next and actually last thing I want to show you guys in this video is this reviews element. Because this, as I showed you before, it's a metabox clonable group. Now, this is pretty cool because this will allow you to have as much data as you want here cloning these groups. And as you can see, we have the name, comments, and review ratings. And all of this is inside one group. And the way WPL export handles that, let me preview real quick, is showing you guys all of the data in 3 separate columns. Now, if you had more subfields inside that group, you will find more columns here, of course. And the different subgroups, you can find them separated with pipes. So this guy, Raymond O'Brien, right, he wrote this comment and he left this rating. And if we go here to the 19th hole, you can see that the first group is Raymond O'Brien, right? Now, guys, if you wanted to maybe export this in a more orderly fashion, well, you could do that too. Just click on the reviews element or whatever it's called your clonable group, and you will find this option that says display each repeater row in its own CSV line. Now, I'm not gonna enable this option just yet, just to show you guys what happens. So let me preview again. And here we can find Raymond O'Brien all alone in this cell. Now you may be wondering what happened with the other guys that left the reviews in this restaurant, right? Well, they are just below that. And as you can see, here is Sally Morgan, Christian Ford, and wherever. And all of these other cells are empty. Now, if you want to populate that, right, you can just click again on your metabox clonable group and fill in empty columns. Now, if enabled, each repeater row will appear as its own CSV line with all the post info filled in for every column. Now, let me show you what that means. So we have here Raymond O'Brien again, but if we scroll down, although we see Sally Morgan and Christian Ford and wherever, you can see that all of the other post data is back again, right? Duplicated for each one of these rows. So this is pretty neat. And this will allow you to, I don't know, export your repeater data in however format you need it, right? Now, guys, I believe this is looking pretty good. So let's just maybe change this title to name, because remember, these are restaurants. So restaurant name, that's more appropriate. And this content, it's going to be called description. And save, preview, and there you go. Now, this is pretty good. We have all of the restaurants we wanted to export, and we have all of the metabox data we want to export to. So let's continue to choose the export type, because remember, guys, what we came here to do is to learn how to export metabox custom fields to an Excel file. So let's set the export type to Excel, right? And continue to the next step. Now, in this next step, we can find these scheduling options, and these are pretty neat because it will allow you to run this export automatically on a schedule. So maybe say you want to export all of these restaurants every single week, because say you want to keep track of the best restaurants in town, right? So you want to have that data updated every single week because, I don't know, maybe ratings change, right? Some pretty good restaurant, maybe they fired their chef, and the new chef, I don't know, it's kind of crappy, and I don't know, the food's not good anymore, the rating dropped, and this is no longer a good restaurant, so you don't want it here. So you can schedule this, right, to run every single week, and you have two options for that. You could use the automatic scheduling, where you can select the days you want to run this export on. So if, for example, you want this export to run on Mondays at 12 a.m., you can set that up very easily here. Now, if you want to use cron jobs, you can do that too, and cron jobs are free. The automatic scheduling service is a paid service, right? It costs $9 a month, but you don't need to subscribe to that if you don't want to. You can use cron jobs, which again are free. They're just a little bit more technical, and you may need some help from your hosting provider. But if you're feeling a little bit lost here, you can always click on this link, and it will take you to our docs on how to run cron jobs. Now guys, these other settings are pretty much self-explanatory, right? So say you only want to export those restaurants that have been modified, right? So if, for example, some of these restaurants have changed their rating, right, and you only want to export those, well, you will enable this option that says only export restaurants that have been modified since the last export, right? So you can see they are pretty much self-explanatory. This one says only export restaurants once. So that means that you run this export, and if you want to run the export again, then, well, no restaurants will be exported, right? Because you just exported all of them, and you selected this feature to only export them once. Now this other one exports each restaurant in real time as they are created. So if new restaurants are created in your site, this export is going to run automatically, right? Now again, guys, you can hover on the question marks and it will give you more details about what this option does. But if you feel a little bit lost here, just don't worry about it and contact our support team. We will be more than happy to help you out. Now lastly, guys, let's choose the schedule here because we're not going to use that in this example, and we're just going to leave all of this as it is by default and confirm and run this export. Now this is just going to take a few seconds, so let's just let it run while WPL export gathers all of our data. All right. Now guys, you can download your file from here directly. You can also download the bundle, and the bundle is basically a zip file containing all of your data and some settings, so you can import that with WPL import, right? Now, in the next tab, you have the scheduling options again. And here in the external apps tab, you have the Zapier video. And in this link, you will find the Zapier integration page with WPL export, right, in zapier.com. So you can connect WPL export with all of these apps, right? Now guys, let's just download our file and see what we got here. All right, so the first thing we notice, the name column is with the column name we specified, so that's good. Then we have the description, which we also changed that name to. Then the gallery, and you can see here that all of our URLs are separating with commas, so that's good. Now, then we have all of the other fields: map address, street, country, state, city, neighborhood, opening and closing times with the new time format. Also the open scenes field with the new date format too. And all of these other fields are looking really good. Even the reviews customer name, reviews comments, and reviews rating, which, remember guys, they are metabox cloneable groups. So there you have it, guys. That's how you export metabox custom fields to an Excel file using WPL export. Now, I really hope you enjoyed this video, guys. And if you want to know more about how to import or export other kinds of data, or maybe if you're using ACF or Jet Engine to handle your custom fields, you can also export and import that with WPL import and WPL export. So be sure to check out the other videos in our channel or go to our website at wplimport.com. For now, thank you for watching and see you next time.